Welcome to On Brand with Donny Deutsch. I am Donny Deutsch, and this is a podcast that is dedicated to one simple premise, that everything in this world is a brand today. Every person, every celebrity, every entertainer, every institution, every religion, every politician, every political party, and look, anybody with a Facebook page or an Instagram page is a brand. And a brand is a set of values. And what we do here is we go through what I consider the brands of the week, the brands that are up, that are down, that are kind of shaping the zeitgeist, kind of dictating where we're going and why we're getting there. And then I do a big brand interview with a big brand personality. And this week, it's my friend Joe Scarborough, of course, the host of Morning Joe. Joe is one of the most influential people in America today. We're going to have a fantastic interview. He's going to come to play. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, our brands of the week. And the first brand up is the Supreme Court. Okay, Supreme Court. Everybody was, not everybody, but certainly people on the left side of the ledger, more progressives, were terrified that the Supreme Court is now, quote unquote, stacked with 6 conservative judges and 3 liberal judges, of course, with Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett. But the interesting thing is, when you look at the stats, when you look at 39 signed decisions in argued cases over the last period of time since this group has been in there, the 3 Democratic appointees have voted in the majority 73% of the time in divided cases, versus the conservative judges only 72%. And net 64% of decisions have been labeled liberal, the highest since the court has been since 1968. So that basically the court, which everybody was terrified was not everybody, once again, I'm saying not everybody, but was going to lean heavy right, has not. If anything, it's leaned towards left. And what that shows you really is, and I've said this all along, and I was telling people to calm down when Trump appointed Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, who I don't like his personality, but Amy Coney Barrett, yes, they may be conservative in nature, but these are serious jurisprudence. These are quality human beings that are on the Supreme Court. I don't care which side you come from, and they lend the law, and some of them are look at the Constitution in different ways. Some of them are more purists, but at the end of the day, they're decent souls. And this kind of shows. So I think this craziness in the elections of who's going to be appointing Supreme Court, obviously it's critical, and obviously it's so tantamount, it defines who we are. But if you just look at this Supreme Court, this quote unquote stacked Supreme Court, it's been leaning left. And I think that just says that's quality about the Supreme Court itself. So big brand up for the Supreme Court. Big brand up for Major League Baseball and TikTok. This is really interesting, and this is for both of these things. Major League Baseball, which is not super popular with Gen Zers versus it is with baby boomers like myself. When you ask the casual fan, there was a survey done. 50% are very interested in baseball, but only 32% of Gen Zers. So what does Major League Baseball realize? Well, they obviously realize social media is important, duh. They realize TikTok is important, duh. But what they did, instead of going out and saying, let's go hire a TikTok expert, which would be some asshole posing as a TikTok expert, they're holding a contest to see who will be. They're going to have 4 slots, 4 people who will be their TikTok content creators. And they're going just after who are you, if you want TikTok experts, where do you go? You go to kids that are making TikTok videos. So they understand the way to market baseball to this generation is through TikTok. But the real smart move is not just going out and hiring people and go, yes, I'm a social media expert, I can do TikTok also. But going out and hire 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old, 22-year-old kids who are making TikToks for their own kind of love of things, and have them give their approach to baseball. And that's the way they're going to sell Major League Baseball. And that's the way they're going to sell the Major League Baseball athletes through these really creative TikTok videos. So I salute Major League Baseball for recognizing what they don't know, and very smart move. And you're going to start to see that pay off. Big brand, I guess, I don't say big brand, but a brand down for Coca Cola, and kind of an interesting brand up for Ronaldo. Ronaldo, obviously the greatest soccer player in the world. It seems as if Ronaldo was holding a press conference after a soccer game or a soccer tournament. I'm not quite sure what it was. And there were 2 cans or bottles of Coke right in front of him. And he moved them out of the way. And he just got a water and said agua, and started drinking water. And an interesting thing happened. That Coke stock dropped. Its market cap dropped by $4 billion right after that. And I think that was an aberration. I don't think that's necessary because Ronaldo did it. But the big story here is it shows the power of the endorser versus the endorsed. Ronaldo is a guy that has, I want you to listen to this number, 500 million 500 million followers between Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. 300 million on Instagram. They can dictate things at this point. So regardless of what you see in the little nifty 30-second commercial, LeBron may be advertising something, it's what happens on social media. So the power of Ronaldo just moving 2 Coke bottles out of the way, going viral, is more important, more pivotal than him. And he used to endorse Coke. I don't think he still does. I know there was a commercial from 2006, but that's the power that these guys have, whether they're endorsing a product or not. So really kind of an interesting week brand down for Coca Cola. It's not going to affect them in the long run, but a brand up for Ronaldo and the power of social media. A brand sideways for Victoria's Secret. Now, Victoria's Secret did a very, very bold thing this past week or so. They realized, or at least they're making a gamble, that their current business model doesn't work. That instead of just having the gorgeous Victoria's Secret models, the angels, the fashion shows on TV, they're scrapping that. And they're going to more new ambassadors, more women that represent the women who are buying underwear in this country, bras and panties and things. Olympic soccer champion Megan Rapinoe. It's Rapinoe. What am I talking about? Branca Chopper Jonas. I'm pronouncing all these names wrong. A Chinese freestyle skier, Eileen Gu. I can't pronounce any of these names, but then they're from all over the world. There's a transgender model, Valentina Sampao. But they're basically saying, you know what? The models, the Victoria's Secret, these aspiration, these fantasies don't represent America. And I salute that. My question is for Victoria's Secret is, yes, it's not representing who's buying your underwear, but do women, and I'd say the same thing about men. This is not a gender issue. If Jockey was all of a sudden they used to show beefcake models and they used to show guys, muscular guys, and all of a sudden they went to more average looking representative Joes. Is that the way to sell underwear? I think so. I'm not sure. When you take out the aspiration, this is all, it's great left brain thing. Of course, this represents real women and not the fantasy and not this politically incorrect fantasy in this post-Me Too world. But I don't know, do women want to buy the fantasy? And do they want that reality? I know Dove has been very successful showing more, what's the word I want to use? More women that represent what their audience is like. But in the case of lingerie and undergarments, do you still need that fantasy in there? I don't know. It's an interesting call. They've done research. I'm going to give it a brand sideways. And once again, I don't want to get a letter saying, Donny, what's wrong with you? They should still, why are you saying they should still, sell these perfect looking mannequin women? I'm not saying, I'm coming from a bottom line point of view. Once again, companies are in the business of shareholder value. And I'm just questioning as a marketer, can you sell the same degree of lingerie and the fantasies that come with lingerie with the kind of more representative, if you will? Interesting question. Let's revisit Victoria's Secret in the coming weeks. Another brand up for Harley Davidson. Now, what I love about what Harley Davidson is doing is they're recognizing the limitations of their brand. Now, of course, electric vehicles, EVs in motorcycles is coming as fast as it is in everything else in cars and trucks. And Harley Davidson realized they had to get in the business, but they're not doing Harley Davidson electric vehicles. They're coming out with a separate brand called Livewire. And what they realized, what they've been so in touch with their own brand. Look, what is Harley Davidson? It's vintage. It's old school Americana. It's the hog. It's anything but electric. So how do you stay current on a business? How do you serve your business needs, but understand the limits of your brand? They have to get into that business, so they're going to do it with another brand. And that's the smart thing with brands, to have self-awareness, not just go, okay, now we're going to do Harley Davidson electric vehicles. No, wrong. It's not, it doesn't jive. It doesn't go. Just like if a new electric vehicle maker tried to make a vintage something, it wouldn't work. So I salute Harley Davidson for really recognizing the limit of their brand, the power in their brand, and where their brand is not powerful, but understanding the business they have to get into. It's a big brand up for Harley Davidson, obviously one of the great American brands. Big brand up for the NBA. The NBA, now we're down to the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference Finals. We've got the Atlanta Hawks playing the Milwaukee Bucks, and we've got the LA Clippers playing the Phoenix Suns. 3 out of these 4 teams have never, ever won an NBA championship, and the Bucks last won the championship in 71. And it's just, what's interesting is, we always go, oh, we need the traditional powerhouses, the Boston Celtics and the LA Lakers and LeBron and whatnot. And look, these teams have superstars, emerging superstars, but they don't have the same. Yes, Giannis is one of the top 5 players of the league on the Bucks, and Trae Young is an emerging superstar, and they have an emerging superstar in Phoenix with Devin Booker, and the Clippers have Paul George, but it's not the ultimate marquee names necessarily, and it makes it even, I think, sexier and more fun. And it shows that you're not dependent on certain teams. And the sport is as exciting as ever. The games have been incredible. The NBA is just, I still think, the best managed sports brand in the world, going back to David Stern, the great commissioner. Adam Silver has kept the mantle going. And so a big thumbs up for the NBA. And I'm going to predict the Phoenix Suns, Milwaukee Bucks, Suns taking it in 6. We'll come back and visit that. Big thumbs up, big brand up. I do the thumbs up thing. I go back to the Siskel and Ebert. Remember the movie guys, the thumbs up guys? Thumbs up, thumb down. This is brand up, brand down. Donnie, stay focused. Dwayne Johnson, of course, The Rock. 46% of people in a survey said they would consider him a very interesting presidential candidate. Now, before you say we've had enough of celebrities and, Trump ruined that for everybody, I get it. Let's think about what, here's a guy, he's comes from a diverse background, Samoan and Black, has 250 million followers on Instagram. He's an action hero. He's a big physical figure. He's incredibly well-liked. He's always been honest with the public. And the difference today, before we say celebrities can never win again, the difference is Trump at the point when he started running didn't have the social media following. If you went into a race today and you had built in 250 million followers starting out, wow, that's even before CNN and MSNBC and Fox will give you extra attention, just like they give Trump. Because if tomorrow Eric Swalwell, says he's going to run for president and Dwayne Johnson's running for president, who's getting more press coverage? I'm not saying it's fair, but we're not going to rule out against celebrities as politicians, because in this brand world, we had the wrong celebrity. And I don't think Trump fucked it up for everybody. He fucked it up for Trump. And that is the case that I really, really believe we will see more celebrity presidents and politicians in the future, just because not only the built-in awareness, the built-in mechanism, they have to talk to people. But let's also not write off the lifelong politician. Look at the early success of Joe Biden. Why is that? Because he wasn't the outsider. He was the ultimate insider. He knew how the system worked, about as unsexy as you can be. So I think if we look into the future, we're going to see a combination of celebrity and non-celebrity politicians. Not a very bold prediction, but the point about Dwayne Johnson is he resurrects, hey, wait a second. The celebrity politician is an interesting concept. Big brand up for Bill Maher and something that he talked about in the air. He didn't brand it, but he talked about it, something called progressive phobia. And he did, I would challenge anybody to, not challenge, I would invite anybody to listen to Bill Maher's monologue of a week or two back. And it's about progressive phobia. It was an 8-minute monologue. And it was basically saying that in this over-woke world, for so many woke individuals, they can't accept that progress is being made. Kevin Hart came out in Bill Maher referencing the piece and said that white power and white supremacy is at its highest point it's ever been. I love Kevin Hart, and I don't want to take shit from this, but no, it's not. There was slavery, there's Jim Crow laws, there was segregation, and we have so far to go with racial issues, and we have so far to go, but we are making moves. And it's the same thing with LGBT. I mean, today, same-sex marriage, obviously, it's obviously legal across the entire country. Bill Maher went on to say that they don't even research it anymore, because I think 30 years ago, 6% approval ratings. Now it has 90% approval ratings. And we are coming a long way. And if you have kids, you understand that. And the concept of progressive phobia is that progressives can't accept, no, things are happening. Maybe they need to even happen faster. But if you look at where we are today as a 63-year-old man versus where I was growing up, and I look at now even the lensing through my kids, you have to be, in order to be successful in working through progress, you have to also recognize progress. You have to be a little bit of a cheerleader. You can't be a naysayer along the way. You've got to be able to do a yay team every once in a while versus just the constant whining. No, this has got to happen and that's not correct. And this has got to happen. We got to wake up here and this is not woken up. We're waking up in a lot of areas across this country and there's still a lot of ways to go. And I don't know, I come from it as a privileged man, privileged white man, but as somebody who just was also an observer of our society, we're making moves. We're doing some good stuff, and you got to be able to recognize that. Big brand down for Bill Clinton. You know, Bill Clinton, I think history is going to, you would think I would give him a brand up because him and Jim Patterson have co-wrote books together. And the first week it sold 60,000 copies. And first, my question is Jim Patterson and Bill Clinton sitting down writing together. How much of that is Bill Clinton writing and how much of that is a little bit of a marketing ploy? I don't know. But there's something that Bill Clinton's brand has continually been about disingenuousness. And obviously he's lied. We know how many times he's lied. No, not in the way that Trump has. But I don't know, when you start to put his name on writing books together with Patterson, is that real? And the big brand down is going to come. This is going to make this a brand forward. Brand forward is when I predict things. History is not going to be kind to Bill Clinton for several reasons. From a political point of view, every administration is judged by usually one decision. Usually one piece of legislation, LBJ, civil rights, Barack Obama, Obamacare, George W. Bush on the wrong call on the Iraqi war. And Bill Clinton, there was no major legislation during his administration. I mean, the economy was good, but there's nothing memorable. The most memorable thing will be the impeachment. It'll be Monica Lewinsky. But more than that, this is where the brand forward comes in. I believe that Jeffrey Epstein's case, we're going to keep hearing more from it. Ghislaine Maxwell, his right-hand woman. Jeffrey Epstein is, of course, the vile late pedophile. And Bill Clinton had been on his plane dozens and dozens of times. And I've told this story on the air before that I met Jeffrey Epstein once, and I could tell in 60 seconds what a creeper this guy was. I met him before any of this stuff came out about him in 2003. But every bone in my body was like, there's something really, stay away from this guy. He's a creeper. And the fact that Bill Clinton was with him so often, so many times, as were many others, I think history is going to show that. And I think that this case is not done. And Ghislaine Maxwell is talking to the feds and talking in a big way. So I think brand forward, history will not be very kind to Bill Clinton. And certainly if he was in any way associated with any of the antics of Jeffrey Epstein, it should be looked down on him in the most prolific way. Big brand down for Trump voters in the Republican Party and a big brand up for Vladimir Putin. How do I put those together? In a YouGov Economist poll, and I talked about this on Morning Joe, that they ask a favorability rating, and Trump voters gave Joe Biden only a 9% favorability rating. Okay, not a surprise. They gave Vladimir Putin a 19% favorability rating. I want to say that again. Vladimir Putin, a 19% favorability rating. Joe Biden, a 9%. Now, Vladimir Putin is a killer, is a despot, is a dictator. And this is how lost the Republican Party and Trump voters are, that they double their favorability ratings of Vladimir Putin over our current president, who's doing a lot of good things. I don't think I need to say anything else. A big thumbs down for Maria Bartoromo. I used to love, I'm doing a thumbs down again, Donnie. What is going on? I'm talking to myself. I'm calling myself in the third person. A big brand down for Maria Bartoromo. She's become a Trump patsy, and I've always liked her. I've liked her personally. I've known her, and I've always known her since she was the money honey on CNBC. But went on a rant on the other. She was interviewing Ron Johnson the other way, and she was saying that it wasn't an armed insurrection because they didn't find. What do you mean it wasn't an armed insurrection? They found brass knuckles. They found knives. They found mace. They found guns in the area. What do you call it? We watched them beating with homemade weapons. What was that? And of course, Ron Johnson said, it was mostly just tourist type thing. And come on, like Maria Bartoromo, what happened to you? How did you sell your soul that way? So brand down for Maria Bartoromo. Also along those lines, a brand down for a GOP Congressman, Andrew Clyde. There's a story last week. One of the really brave officers, Michael Fanone, who protected the Capitol. He ran into Andrew Clyde in the Capitol, went to shake his hand. Clyde wouldn't shake his hand. And he was one of the 21 House Republicans who voted against legislation to give congressional medals of honor to these people who protected the Capitol. So here's a congressman that would not shake the hand of a Capitol police officer because I guess the Capitol police officer didn't let the insurrection happen, didn't let these guys take over the Capitol, didn't let our democracy get attacked. These people are just shameless. They really, really, really are. As time goes on, we get further away from January 6th. It's important that we keep telling these stories, and it's so critical. Finally, a brand up for Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom. They did a commercial for voters' rights for the voting bill. It was set in 2055, and it showed a dystopian society of what this world would look like if we didn't have free elections. And guys, don't kid yourselves. We're on the precipice. Had we, going back to Trump, had 2 or 3 people, Brad Raffensperger, some of those other state officials, been crooked folks, that election would have been attempted to have been truly overturned. And we are really still in those very critical junctures. And we need this voting bill. And I salute Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom for their work. And those are our brands of the week. I want to get right to our big Mika this week. Mika is a Jewish word for a big guy. And it is Joe Scarborough. Joe Scarborough, of course, is the host of Morning Joe, the most influential political show on television. He's also a best-selling author. He's also a musician. He is one of the brightest people I've ever met. And I know on air, he doesn't always come, of course, as warm and fuzzy, nor should he, but he's a really good guy and he's a really good friend. I think you're going to enjoy this interview. Before we get to it, remember to rate, review, and subscribe anywhere you get podcasts on YouTube, or get a video on YouTube or on Spotify or on Apple. Now let's get to our interview with Joe Scarborough. Well, I am thrilled at today's guest because not only is he one of the most influential guys in the country today, he's a good buddy of mine. He is, of course, Joe Scarborough, the host of Morning Joe, but so much more than that. I mean, almost a 4-term congressman, author. His books are Rome Wasn't Burnt in a Day, The Real Deal on How Politicians, Bureaucrats, and Other Washington Barbarians Are Bankrupting America. Another book, The Best Last Hope. Another book, The Right Path from Ike to Reagan. The Republicans want to smash the okay. But the most recent one is Saving Freedom, Truman, the Cold War, and the Fight for Western Civilization. He's also got his EP, Mystified. He is a Renaissance man. He is, and I'm thrilled to have him here. Thanks for being here, buddy.
It's great to be with you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to do a little something different today. We're not going to talk as much politics. I want to kind of talk about a little bit of the Joe Scarborough story because it is an interesting. He's gone.
I'm out of here. Nobody told me there'd be days like these.
Nothing deeply personal, but like just kind of what's interesting is, do you realize that your show since 2007, 5 days a week, 3 hours a day, you've done somewhere between 10 and 15,000 hours of live television. I want to say that again. Almost 15,000 hours of live television.
That makes me sick to my stomach.
I mean,
just think how bad it is for people that have watched me for that long.
What if I was going to say to you the kind of the secret sauce that's kept it going, and it obviously you guys kick CNN's ass. It's the show of record as far as politics in this country, and it's 14 years later. So what's the secret sauce that makes it go?
I mean, I can tell you what made it start, why we survived at the very beginning. And I know you have this attitude with business that you do, the projects that you do. But I knew what I wanted to do. I told MSNBC what I wanted to do. It went against every formula they had. Fortunately, they had 3 hours they had to fill. Imus had just been fired, and a lot of other people tried to do it. And they couldn't do it. So I got really lucky. It's kind of like when I ran for Congress when I was 29, 30. The Republican Party tried to beat me. The Democratic Party tried to beat me. So when I won, I wasn't accountable to anybody. And one time Newt Gingrich threatened me, or one of his people threatened me. I said, what are you going to do, primary me? Like last time you primaried me, I won by 62%. Do it again, I won by 75%. So in Congress, I had this freedom that other people didn't have, and I understand that. That's why I could speak out and say what I wanted to say. It was harder for others. But it's the same thing with this TV show. I started it on my terms. And I said to Phil, I've said this before, they didn't want Mika as my co-host. That was about a 3 or 4 month fight. And kept saying, I'm just not going to do it if she's not in there. They didn't want Chris Licht to be my EP. He was obviously very important to the start of the show, a guy that, could interpret what my vision was for the show. And I just kept doing one of these things like Mika's either my co-host or I'm not going to do it.
Hey, I want to talk to you about Netsuite. Netsuite, who is an advertiser on the show, and I really, really believe in, look, school's out for summer, But if your business is running on QuickBooks today, you will never get a break. I'm going to say it. No QuickBooks, yes to NetSuite. Now, look, the thing about NetSuite, QuickBooks manual processes, integration difficulties, and glitchy delays will leave you scrambling for the numbers you need. Failing to graduate to NetSuite will leave you stuck in summer school while your friends party. NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 cloud financial system. Let me say that again. NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 cloud financial system. No matter how big your business grows, it is the right one for you. With visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more, NetSuite is everything you need to grow all in one place. 93% of survey businesses increased their visibility and control since graduating from QuickBooks to NetSuite. That special financing is back right now. NetSuite is offering one-of-a-kind financing program only for those regularly graduate today from QuickBooks to NetSuite. Head to netsuite.com/Donny right now. That's special financing at netsuite.com/Donny. netsuite.com/Donny, DONNY. Trust me, you want NetSuite. Okay, something's really, really important today. It's important to all of us. I don't care if you're a business person, an individual, any walk of life, and that's internet privacy. We all need that. And that's what I want to talk to you about, ExpressVPN. Now, look, using the internet without ExpressVPN is like taking a call on a train or bus or speaker for everyone to hear. You don't want to be that person. This is really important stuff, guys. And look, why does everyone need a VPN? Look, internet service providers like Comcast or Verizon know every single website you visit. And ISPs can sell that information to ad companies and tech giants who use your data to target you. We know how annoying that can be. So why do you use it? It's really simple. It creates a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so people can't peep onto your online activity. Look, you fire up the app, you click one button. It's rated #1 by CNET, Wired, and The Verge. Works on phones, laptops, even routers. So everyone who shares your Wi-Fi can be protected. Look, I'm telling you right now, this is really important stuff. Don't take it for granted. You know you need privacy, you know you need protection, and ExpressVPN is the way to go. This is the answer, guys. So secure your online activity by visiting expressvpn.com/Donny today. That's ExpressVPN, ExpressVPN.com/Donny. You get an extra 3 months free. ExpressVPN.com/Donny. You need to protect yourself. You need the privacy. ExpressVPN, way to go. Trust me. Take me to a room with Phil Griffin at the time as the president. And once again, Morning Joe is such an institution now, but nothing like that exists at that point. So give me the pitch. Give me the pitch.
Well, I actually did like this. I actually was sitting in my chair. I was sitting in my chair in Pensacola where I was doing the night show, Scarborough Country. And I heard that Imus was fired. And I got up out of my chair. I walked over to my computer, got on Photoshop, and I created sort of almost like a movie poster. And I actually, Willie Geist was an EP at the time, but I had envisioned him there, I'd envisioned John Ridley, envisioned another woman who, I didn't know Mika at the time, another woman that I thought would be a good person to be the co-host. And I just said to Phil, I said, hey, Phil, listen, this is going to be a show like no other show. The news hole is shrinking on every show. We're all talking about Paris Hilton. We're all talking about Lindsay Lohan. We're all talking about stuff like that. I said, this is going to be a show where people can come on. They can talk for 15 minutes. They can talk about what they want to talk about. They're not going to be shouted down. And it's going to be a show like no other show. We're going to, and again, this was very radical at the time. This was like pre-Twitter. I was like, we're going to be going online. We're going to be getting texts from newsmakers. We're going to be reporting it as it happens. And that's exactly what we did. And we knew that in 2007, when we started, once the campaign started kicking in, it was great because we'd say something at 6:01. Howard Wolfson with Hillary's campaign would text us at 6:02 saying, well, that's not exactly right. Would read his text on the air. At 6:04, David Axelrod with Obama's campaign would come on. We'd read that text. We'd have people from McCain's campaign doing the same thing. And so it was this real-time sort of rolling Twitter before Twitter, where we got people up to date. We kept it going. And, there was also just a big part of it was, I'm not going to swear here, but we just didn't give a, whatever. I just said whatever I wanted to say. And it worked. There was no formula. I tell you, the best part, the most fun part to remember was, everybody was trying to be Imus, and everybody was like, they were trying to do things that just weren't natural. And so when I finally got my chance, it was like, I think Memorial Day weekend, and nobody else wanted to do it, so they finally let me do it. I got in front of the mic. We had Willie, Mika, like you would all never really had met each other. I just said, it'd be good. I saw Mika in the newsroom one afternoon, and I talked to her for about 5 minutes. She insulted me. I said, okay, she'd be a great co-host. Swear to God, she insulted me. And I said, she'll be a great co-host because she doesn't give a damn. And so we got on set, and we started talking. This is the first time we'd ever really all three had a conversation. And they started counting us down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And they were like, and I just whispered to everybody on set, I said, keep talking. And they went 3, 2, 1, go. And we're in the middle of a conversation. So when the camera came up, we were talking. And we kept talking. The Bender, who was the floor manager, was freaking out, basically saying, you're on, you're on. We just ignored him, and we kept talking. Looked up for a second. We said, oh, hey, good morning. Welcome to the show. And then we kept talking. And I will say about 30 minutes in, Brokaw walked down to Phil's office and said, Scarborough, who knew? And it just one of these weird things. Nobody would have thought that would have worked. And I'm just very blessed, very lucky it did.
No, you brought something to the table. And you're like me. You love being when everybody's rooting against you. And for years, and MSNBC was like, oh, fuck this guy, this conservative on MSNBC. We don't want him to make it. He's not going to make it.
Donny, yeah. They're still saying it.
Yeah, they were saying it louder. Now they just whispered under their breath. That's it.
Exactly. It's weird. They kind of were saying that in Congress about me too. They say it wherever I go. No, it's funny. Early on, I had people asking me, who do you want to fill in when you're off the air? Because we can't find anybody that's just sort of as oafish as you. I said, well, that's easy, Donny Deutsch. and the formula is, we joke with each other, and we can take it. We laugh. We like other people making jokes about us, laughing about us. And it's just, there's a lot to be said for a 3-hour show, just being able to fill in the space and not being afraid of where that show's going to go.
I want to talk to you about Bambee, and that's BAMBEE. In running a business, HR issues can kill you. I ran a business. HR can take up a lot of your time. And look, with wrongful termination suits, minimum wage requirements, labor regulations, and HR managers aren't cheap, an average of $70,000 a year. So Bambee, and that's BAMBEE, was created specifically for small businesses who can't necessarily afford that big-time HR manager. You get a dedicated HR manager, craft HR policy, and maintain your compliance, all for just $99 a month. With Bambee, you can change HR from your biggest liability to your biggest strength. Your dedicated HR manager is available by phone, email, or real-time chat. You don't need someone full-time sitting in your office. This is a better solution. From onboarding to terminations, they customize your policies to fit your business and help you manage your employees day to day. All for just $99 a month. Month to month, no hidden fees, cancel anytime. You didn't start your business because you wanted to spend time on HR compliance. Let Bambee help get your free HR audit today, guys. If you have a small business, this is the answer for your HR needs. Go to Bambee.com/Donny right now to schedule your free HR audit. That's Bambee.com/Donny. Spelled BAMBEE.com/Donny. Trust me on this one, guys. Bambee's the answer for HR. All your needs if you've got a small business. Okay, guys, I want to talk to you about Policy Genius. And this is all about insurance. Look, summer begins this month, and you know what that means. It's time to save on life insurance. That way you'll have a bigger budget for the things you want over the summer. Pool floats, hard seltzers, all those fun things. You don't want to be spending on insurance. So between Father's Day, Flag Day, and National Yo-Yo Day, the month of June, it's got a lot going on. Thankfully, Policy Genius makes it easy to cross insurance off your list. If someone relies on your financial support, whether it's a child, an aging parent, or even a business partner, you need life insurance. Now, okay, even if you know that, why Policy Genius? It makes it easy to compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers in one place. You can save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes on Policy Genius. You could save $1,300 or more per year on life insurance by using Policy Genius to compare policies. So this is the one, guys. You don't want to go through the whole thing. This is the one place you go. You get 12 competing quotes. You see who the cheapest. You see where you could save the most money. And the licensed experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies. They work for you. That's their business. So, and the kind of service has earned Policy Genius an excellent rating on Trustpilot. So how it works, you get started is easy. First, you head to policygenius.com. In minutes, you work out how much life insurance coverage you need and compare the quotes. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle the paperwork and the scheduling for free. Policy Genius never sells you information to other companies. Policy Genius does not add on extra fees. Head to policygenius.com to get started right now. Policy Genius, when it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. You know, you talk about laughing. I get stopped all the time. You and I talk about, and you and I and Mika are really, really good friends. And you were doing, you had my back, and I've always had your back. And people go, why doesn't Mika like you? Why doesn't Joe like him? I'm like, guys, first of all, A, it's TV. Secondly, that's the ultimate show of respect, that they know I can take it, that I'm a guy coming from a place where it's actually respectful. Like the fact that they take shots at me that way. It's like, it's almost, they're elevating me to their peer. Like, I don't, what are you not getting? I say to people, what are you not getting? They're making fun of me. That's a bit. We're just having fun.
Well, we also, you have asked us to do that because you say it makes you a much more sympathetic figure when you're out in the Hamptons at bars and
people
restaurants.
Come up to me, they want to hold me.
Women come up to you and they're like, oh, poor Donny. And it's got to be so much cheaper than you having to rent out kids like you do when you walk them across the park and
Instagram.
When you're in Manhattan.
You mentioned 3 hours. You just said there's 3 hours to fill. I've never actually asked you this. Take me through a little of the sausage making, because what appears on TV is a well-crafted, yes, there's a lot that's ad hoc, but there's a lot that's not, because it can't be that way. Take me through starting, you're off the air at 9 o'clock next one. Take as much as you can take me through how it ends up on the air, because I've actually never asked you. It's just, to put that on every fucking day is monumental. And of course, Alex Corson, the EP, there's an amazing group of people that do it. But take me through the sausage making.
I hate my iPhone, but my iPhone is really how we do the show, in that I have the news alerts that come from the Times and the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. It used to be that people would print out the news for online. You'd get a stack and you'd read through it. I'm just, news alert comes across. I look at it, I read it, I file it away in my mind. I'll get on Twitter every 2 hours, maybe just scroll down the news feed, see what I'm missing. And so I'm sort of developing throughout the day. I've started over the past couple of years because as I was getting off the phone, and I try to stay off my phone as much as possible. Started reading a lot more. And so that's what I do through the day. I don't watch cable news unless there's something really big happening. I knew I had stopped watching cable news too much, or any news on TV. And I knew that I told Mika to keep the TV sets turned off too much when I first got my first breaking news headline that said that the Capitol had been breached by protesters. And I was like, I'm not going to tell Mika because she'll turn on cable news, And about 3 minutes later, I'm reading, I look up and I'm like, oh, shit. And we run down. And that's still, one of those days where you're sitting in front of it for 7, 8, 9 hours. But for the most part, I read the Times, I read the Wall Street Journal, I read Financial Times, I read the Washington Post, I read the news alerts. And it just, but there's I'm never crashing. And I'll see bits and pieces. Mika will say, hey, did you see this on Twitter? Did you see this clip from so-and-so? And so then it's very important for me to not consciously prep too much. And what I mean by that is I'm prepping throughout the day.
Yeah, just naturally.
And by the way, I've been
prepping your whole life. Right.
Not to be a nerd. I've been reading the New York Times since I was 7. I started reading, the New Republic when I was like 11 or 12. And always reading. I've been reading news. I've been following history my entire life. So it's pretty easy to get some information and put it into that category in my mind and be ready for it the next day. So that's pretty much how I do it. But when the show started, it went really well the first year. Then somebody said, well, if it's going this well, without really preparing for it, sitting around the table, why don't we sit around and prepare for it more? And so we did that like at 5:15 in the morning. And the shows were just stale and stiff, and they were a disaster. It was better we realized that I get something, I throw it at you. I get your response.
Yeah.
It's all very organic. And then Willie comes in and he'll, so I try not to prep too much. Alex will call me at 5:30 every morning. And he'll say, hey, these are the stories I'm looking at. And we really have a mind meld at this point.
Yeah.
It's very rare that I go, oh, wait, well, did you see this story? He and I are pretty lined up. And sometimes, we'll move the third story to the first story or the second story to the fourth story or something like that. But for the most part, we have that 5:30 call. I'm off by 5:40 and ready to go.
The ad hocness. I remember a bunch of years ago, somebody from NBC brought in a production expert who was going to come in and make the show better and do montage beginnings and do this and that. And I remember like watching you wince in pain. I think that lasted for about a week because the very thing that was making it work was these jagged edges and no, we don't have a packaged open and no, I'm not doing a stand up at the beginning and whatnot. And so what's so interesting about TV executives is that the very thing that they can't understand the thing that makes something work and that it's fucking different and it's not the same.
Two stories on that front, just for anybody listening who might want to do a 3-hour TV show sometime without any scripts. The first day that one of those consultants were on board, I was late. I showed up on set at like 6:02 or something like that, except I kind of was hovering out in the hall. Again, it's the sort of thing just like that first time we were on, and I was going to do it for a reason, going to have some fun with Mika. And this consultant just freaked out. You're showing disrespect to your audience. How dare you do that? And I couldn't even explain that was the shtick.
Yeah.
Like the shtick is everybody thinks that it's easy. So that's the shtick. You make it look easy. You make it look like you just walked in off the street.
My pants in, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait, and then you just start talking. And that was the shtick. There was a guy that was actually talking to one of the past presidents of the network, who was one of the most brilliant news producers, won most awards. And they were sitting there, and he goes, "You know what the best part of that Scarborough show is?" Because the part that I love the most, because he's just absolutely shattering sort of formulaic TV. And the news person said, "No, what's that?" He goes, when he shows up late, he comes on the set and he's looking like he's just like this bumbling, I'll use the word again, oaf, and he just kind of plops down. And it makes him look human. It makes the show look human. It makes it, it's like it's not formulaic. And so, that really works. And sort of makes it work well. I had a second example. I can't remember it right now.
We're getting old. And I want to, the show obviously is called On Brand, and I ask this of everybody, and I have some real thoughts about this, but I want to hear from you. What's the Joe Scarborough brand?
I don't know. I mean, because I think it's changed. I mean, I'm the same person I've always been. I don't give a damn. Like I care about what my kids think and my family thinks and my friends like you think. But outside of that, I just don't care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. If you asked me what my personal brand was, like, it's just like, or actually, if you want to ask what my strategic approach to my profession has been, my life has been, is I just don't put up with bullshit. I know that sounds like kind of, hey, gunslinging, shoot from the hip, but I literally don't put up with bullshit. If I have a vision that I believe in, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I will fly that plane and I will fly it straight into the side of a cliff if I have to. When I was young, I had a quote from Hannibal. It said, "We will either find a way or we will make one." And that's sort of been my attitude. Now, what's my brand? you'd be much better at telling me my brand because, I went from loathed right-wing guy on Scarborough country or from hothead in Congress, hothead right-wing guy, to now, even though I have the same political views, now it's loathed left-wing guy from Republicans who think that I'm a Marxist, despite the fact there's a through line, and I'm the same that I've ever been.
The very thing that you said that says, oh, it's not a brand, is what it's a brand, is that you are about incredibly strong personal convictions but basically that you, as you said, you stick to your guns and that come from what you genuinely, your gut believe is right. And that's why you talked about that paradigm. But the secret sauce, the real secret sauce is interesting. And yes, there are other guys on television who speak their mind and have the thing that shows me what the essence of your brand, what the audience relates to, is when we were going through Trump, or even January 6th. Always you would say in Trump, guys, we're going to get to the other side. There's this daddy quiet. I'm not saying that glibly. There's this. You feel you sense of a responsibility. Is yes, you're doing your thing, but you do feel the weight of the people you're talking to, right. And you're not just delivering the news and delivering opinion. And this is something I've learned from you, and I try and do it a little bit just in my guest role, is that you want to, you have a responsibility. You've got people on edge, and you want to use right. your experience. You have to say, you know what? Yes, this is really fucked up, but let's step back. We're going to be okay here. And
that actually has been the through line, in Congress and on TV. Even though it was passionate, it was a hothead, would blow up a lot of times. I was always telling people, at the end of the day, we're going to be okay. This is an amazing country. We're going to get through this. Yes, we have blind spots. Yes, we have problems. But, I remember telling my mom when Bill Clinton was president, Mom, we're going to be okay. I remember telling my liberal friends in Manhattan who thought that George W. Bush was Hitler, we're going to get through this. We're going to be okay. I remember when Obama got elected, me having to tell my family and friends, we're going to get through this. We're going to be okay. 2 years later, I was telling my friends on the Upper West Side when the Tea Party came in, we're going to be okay. I will say the last 4 years is the first time I've asked myself.
You've been talking to yourself, trying to talk yourself into it.
I didn't say it on the air, but I've asked myself, are we going to get through this? Are we going to be okay? And I never showed that on the air. What I would do is I would go out on the air and I'd be more fierce. I mean, I did a lot of things where I was intense and I was very fierce. There were so many times I wanted to just quit the show because I hated reporting on the news, on Trump. And I was just like, gotta do this, gotta fight, gotta do what little part we have. And it was a very little part, pushing back hard and telling people we're going to get to the other side of it. And it's something I still have to say. We're going to get to the other side of it. And I'm still optimistic despite the fact that my church and my political party, former political party, and my tribe of conservatives have just, most of them have radically, they've lost their way. They'll say they haven't, but you can look at what I said in 1994 and 95 and 96 and 97 and 77, 2007 and 2017, and right now, there's a straight through line. I'm still talking about small government. I'm still talking about balanced budgets. I'm still talking about federal debt. I'm still talking about pushing back on crazy spending. I'm still talking about pushing back on Russia. I'm still talking about pushing back, on autocracies. I haven't changed. I have not changed. But it seems too many people in my tribe have.
It's interesting, going back to just me just asking you, things would be okay. Had Trump won again, things would not have been okay. This is what I couldn't understand. Educated people, that don't you get that this is the end? Don't you get that if he's in there another 4 years, a free press is really under siege, a independent Justice Department no longer exists, separation of powers is in true danger, or that this guy could stay there for life? as best as you can do it, you and I have talked a lot offline on this, and what is it? It's too easy to say it's race. It's too easy to say it's the cultural leader. What is the nerve that still 75 million, and many of them educated, okay? Many of them educated, still believe after 4 years, I get the first time around, take a flyer. Mm-hmm. Hillary was a horrible candidate. Right. Maybe he's just doing what he has to do elected. But after 4 years of that, as best as you explain with all of your years and years of knowledge, what is the phenomenon? What?
Well, I want to start by talking about why things would not have been okay if you'd been reelected. Right. And I'm not making this personal. But I did say this to my friends.
We go in jail. You could end up in jail.
Well, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, commander-in-chief, the guy that ran this country for the most part, a dozen times accused me of murder and kept trying to pressure authorities to investigate, arrest, jail me, and I suppose possibly execute me. 12 times, a dozen times, publicly. He did that publicly. Since that was about me, I didn't, it's kind of hard to have proper perspective on that. And I just sort of shrugged it off and kept going. If it had been about somebody else, I would have been far more concerned about it. But also 2 weeks before the election, he's pressuring Bill Barr to arrest his opponent and arrest his opponent's family. This is what happens in Belarus. This is what happens in communist countries. This is what happens, in Iran. People in the press and political opponents are thrown in jail. The courts are pressured to throw these people in jail. And that's what was happening in the United States of America. And so, I'm as concerned about the 75 million people that voted for him as I am what he did over 4 years. And let me just say, those 75 million people, a ton of my friends growing up and a lot of my family members are in that 75 million. Why is it happening? Race, yeah, sure. Race has something to do with it. People who think it's all about race and think it's all because every white person that voted for him is racist. That's comforting to them. That helps them go to sleep at night. It's just not the truth. I think part of it is race. Maybe it's a third race. Sure, I don't know. Sure. I can just tell you, growing up in that culture, growing up in Doraville, Georgia, Meridian, Mississippi, and Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and in Northwest Florida, I can tell you, we grew up knowing that people were looking down on us, talking down about us. People in the media sort of were mocking and sneering of us. We were, we were the Dukes of Hazzard. We were these stupid rednecks. The arrogance was overwhelming. I remember sort of, and maybe I should have, my mind should have been alerted to it. But I remember in 2004, George W. was running for re-election. And of course, everybody in the Upper West Side said George Bush was a Nazi. He was a Nazi. He was this, he was that. He was shredding the Constitution. He was Hitler. I remember we were driving around in Nantucket and we were just looking at houses. Of course, because I'm just a poor country lawyer looking at houses that I couldn't afford. And so we were looking at all these houses and, I just grew up assuming if you were rich and you were an East Coast elite, you're a Democrat. Why did I assume that? Because 98% of those people that I met were Democrats. And so we were driving past a house and there was just this one beat up VW and it had a W sticker. Everybody else had Kerry stickers on it. And I pointed to it. I said, oh my God, look at that. And somebody goes, yeah, it's the Help. And we just broke out dying laughing.
Christ, right.
Because guess what? It was the Help, right? And I'd always see those W stickers and I would laugh, like Bush.
Right.
And I'd be like, that's the equivalent of somebody sticking their middle finger up in the air at people in the media, people in academia, and people, all the East Coast elites. So people in the East Coast who are elites, they can say it's all racism if that makes them feel better. But no, No, it's part race, but it's part about you. Like David Shore, who worked for Barack Obama, a brilliant guy, said that white progressives are more progressive on just about every issue than black voters are Hispanics. In fact, they're more progressive even on the issue of racial justice and racial injustice than black and Hispanic voters. So, Donnie, I don't say that to like stick it to the East Coast liberal elite or the man. You see, I don't want Trumpism to prevail. So when you and I get on the air and we start talking about blind spots that Democrats have, I'm not doing that to chastise Democrats. I'm doing it to help Democrats.
Yeah.
Like they
Wake
want
up.
people like me to vote for them to win elections, right? And right now, it's crazy. Like, yes, a big part of the problem is race. A big part of the problem is what I'm talking about here. But there's so many blind spots that Democrats have. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Even how they run elections. When I run an election, Donnie, do you think I run to win by one vote?
No,
you
want to annihilate. You want to annihilate.
Do you think I run because I want to convince people that I'm right? No! I want to run to destroy my opponent's political career so they will never run against me again, and I will send a message to everybody else. It is called destroying the city.
It's a blood sport. It's a blood sport.
And it's called salting the earth and making sure that nothing ever grows there again. Now, if that offends you, you may be a Democrat, but that's not you, Donnie, but whoever's watching. But that is how Democrats have to think, and I will tell you why. And I'm passionate about this because Western democracy, nothing less than Western democracy, depends on Democrats getting their shit together and learning how to fight hard and learn how to fight to win. And I'm talking about in political campaigns. I'm not talking dirty tactics. I'm not talking cheap tactics. I'm just talking about getting there and being so intense that you go, okay, yeah, you know what? Okay, yeah, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and so maybe I can't hug people, but I sure as hell can knock on the door, back up, put on a mask, and ask them if they have any questions. Like, you know who got that, actually?
The Lincoln Project.
AOC, well, they got it, but AOC got it.
Yeah.
Like, AOC was knocking on doors. Her people were knocking on doors. They kept telling Democrats, AOC kept telling Democrats, go knock on doors, wear a mask, back up, give them their space. Even if they don't want to talk to you, they know you cared enough to come out in the middle of a pandemic to knock on the door. That's why I'm not so sure Republicans are going to wipe Democrats out, because the Republicans kept campaigning during the pandemic. Democrats just stopped.
Yeah. Okay, last 4 minutes, because I got hot out here. We do a quick thing called brand, where I said, give me a 1 or 2 word response to these different brands. First one, Mika Brzezinski.
Tough as hell. She's I guess it's why we're together. I don't know how we stay together, but she's a lot like me. She knows what she believes in, and she will fight like hell until she gets what she wants.
Along those lines, because I still have not been in a life partner situation that's worked forever. You seem to have found one. So not only do you work with her, so talk to your younger brother. What's the secret sauce
of
making a marriage work and also working together and all?
I'm just, I've been divorced twice, my friend. I'm the wrong person.
Well, but you got it right this time.
Actually, I will say, because I've been so bad at it, that maybe I can give some advice. And it's just being, you're in that small rowboat together and staying there and realizing that you're on the same team. And I will say what works for Mika and me is that in our personal relationship, we're unselfish. She's always trying to figure out what I need. She's always trying to figure out how to help me. I'm always trying to figure out how to help her. Except when I'm a total idiot once in a while.
Most of the time.
Well, most of the time. But yeah, that helps a lot. Finding somebody that's as invested in you as you are in them.
Willie Guy's brand.
Oh, smooth.
Mike Barnacle.
So, he just legend. He's the legend, man.
John Howman.
Man, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. He aspires to be the Hunter S. Thompson of our times, and he's not that far off.
Jonathan Lemire.
Friend, just a really good friend.
Steve Ratner.
By the way, Lemire also, he's just a great reporter.
Yeah.
And he's fearless too. Like, I gotta say, I like to think I'm fearless. I would not piss off Vladimir Putin two summits in a row.
He was in there with the Dukes operating.
He does. And Putin was smart enough. He goes, get him out. You get the 5 Russian guys knocking that guy out of there. Yeah, he's really something.
The last ensemble guy I want to ask you about, and I've never asked anybody else this, what's the Donny Deutsch brand? Because I'm searching, man, and you have this cast of characters there. So I'm curious what the take is there.
Your brand is branding. I mean, you understand something that I don't think other people understand, don't realize in this business. And you've got a brand, and every day, every hour, every minute, every second, the brand is either going up or it is going down. Brands never stay the same. And you understand more about branding, more about advertising than anybody I've ever met. And that is so extraordinarily important for the reasons that we're talking about. Western democracy is on the line. We've got to figure out a way to get our message out there that you know what? Liberal democracy, that's a pretty darn good thing. Liberal democracy, that's a pretty darn good thing. That's something worth fighting for.
We're going to end on that because I promise I get you out of here in time. Joe, you're a good friend. I really appreciate you doing this, man.
You're a great friend, and I appreciate it. And this podcast is so exciting because you get this stuff.
You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, the comedy stylings of Joe Scarborough. He'll be at the Tiki Room, Route 22 in Paramus, New Jersey, starting Thursday for a full week if you want to go catch him.
I love it.
I appreciate it, buddy. You're the best, man.
Right,
love you. Thanks, man.
Bye. Love you, man.
Hope you enjoyed my Brands of the Week. My interview with Joe Scarborough. Remember to rate and review and subscribe wherever you get podcasts, on Apple or Spotify. And of course, go to YouTube video from our YouTube channel. I hope everybody has a great week. Remember, everybody's a brand. Keep in touch with your own brand and how your brand is going. We'll see you next time on Brand with Donny Deutsch.